Hello Star Citizens, BuzZz here, and welcome back to the channel. So this past Friday, the 28th of August 2015, was another big day for Star Citizen. We got several new posts on the RSI website, including the new Vanguard variants, an in-depth design post on electronic warfare, or E-War, and the big news is the ArcCorp social module, which was released to the live servers. And on time, no less. So let's start off with the Aegis Vanguard. CIG has released two new variants to the Deep Space Dogfighter, and they've given us a highly detailed look at the ship's interiors, much more detailed than they have in previous concepts. So if you've pledged for the Vanguard back in May, you are already the proud owner of the base model, now known as the Vanguard Warden. The other two variants are the Sentinel, which is an E-War variant similar in capabilities to the Hornet Tracker or Drake Herald, and the Harbinger, which is a long-range bomber with a complement of 4 torpedoes and a reloadable dumbfire missile turret. Now, if you already own a Warden and you wish to upgrade it, you have a couple of options. Firstly, you can purchase a ship upgrade. These upgrades change the hull of the ship to match with the styling and paint scheme of the selected variant. The Sentinel upgrade is $15 and the Harbinger upgrade is $30. Your second option is to purchase a Battlefield upgrade kit. Now these kits are basically a set of weapons and modules that replace the Warden's escape pod. The kits do not change the outward appearance of the vessel other than the aforementioned weaponry and some other specialized equipment such as the Sentinel's radar dish and the Harbinger's rocket loading system, but it retains the original ship's paint scheme and various details. The Sentinel kit is available for $25 and the Harbinger kit is $45. A Warden kit is also available for $10 if you decide to pledge or upgrade to another variant. If you don't own one of these ships and would like to pledge for one, the Warden standalone ship is on sale for $250, the Sentinel is $265, and the Harbinger is $280. And while the Harbinger and Sentinel come with LTI, the Warden only comes with 24 months of standard hull insurance. This is of course because the Warden was already available during the initial concept sale 4 months ago. I'll go more in depth with the Vanguards in a later video, but for now, let's move on. The next post that was released on Friday was the Electronic Warfare Design post. Since the Vanguard Sentinel has just been released and the Herald is nearly hangar ready, it made sense for them to go ahead and post this article now. If you've ever read a design post, you already know that these posts are chock full of information about specific systems and how they're going to be implemented in the final game. While a lot of this info is subject to change, it does give us a good idea of how these systems will eventually work, making this post a definite must-read. Now, E-War is a core system that's already in Arena Commander to some extent. E-War has to do with the aspects of our ship that make them detectable to the appropriate sensor systems. It is also the method missiles use to lock on and track their targets. Currently, emissions fall into 4 categories: electromagnetic signature, or EM, infrared, or heat signature, radar cross-section, and unique ship signatures. The EM signature is determined by the amount of power your ship systems are using or generating. The biggest offender will obviously be your ship's power plant. Other big EM emitters will be shields and energy-based weapons. The heat signature is also determined by a lesser extent through power consumption, but the majority of heat comes from thermal sources such as the burning of fuel in your ship's thrusters and the firing of weapon systems. Afterburners are of course the biggest heat generators. Next up we have the radar cross-section. The cross-section is determined by the size of your ship's silhouette. The bigger the ship, the bigger the cross-section, and the more likely your ship will be detected. Depending on the shape of the ship, the cross-section can be altered by the orientation of the target ship to your scanner, or by employing various radar-absorbing armors or countermeasures, but more on those later. Finally, we have unique ship signatures. These are like IFF transponders that broadcast a unique signal for identification purposes. This signal identifies the ship and its pilot's registry information. Of course, there will be ways to alter or spoof the signal for more unscrupulous players or NPCs. Right now in Arena Commander, our ships employ all 4 methods to locate and track other targets. In the future, we'll be able to customize our sensor packages to specialize in one of these systems at the detriment to others. Want to track primarily by heat? There'll be a sensor package for that, or a way to tune your current package to do that. And larger ships will likely be able to fit multiple packages, allowing for even more diversity. Sensors and scanners are employed in one of 2 modes, active and passive scanning. For active scanning, let's use the example of radar. With radar, your ship emits a pulse of EM radiation and reads the signal that is reflected back from the target. This will be a very effective means of locating and gaining more information about your target, but it will also make your ship more detectable as well due to the massive amounts of EM signal your ship is emitting. The second option is to rely on passive scanning. This method uses incoming signals such as EM and heat to detect the target. These systems only emit signatures based on their power consumption and thus are less likely to be detected themselves. Now, when it comes to detecting targets, there are 4 contact states. The first is undetectable. This means that the target is either obscured, out of range, or its signature is below a detectable threshold. The second state is uncertain contact. This is a contact within range that may or may not actually exist. It could be a ghost contact, a radar, phantom radar signature, or a target at the edge of other signature thresholds. The third state is unscanned target. This is a target that is above the signature threshold and within range. The target's position is available, but there's really no other data that can be determined. This is probably due to a lack of active scanning, or the target has just not yet been scanned. And finally, we have the scanned target. Once scanned, all information about the target that can be attained by the installed sensors is made available. Now, electronic warfare is conducted in one of 2 ways, offensively or defensively. Offensive e-war typically requires specialized equipment. Though all ships are capable of running active scans, specialized ships such as the Hornet Tracker, the Drake Herald, and Vanguard Sentinel have many more offensive options. These options can include EMP, data spikes, distortion, signal intercept, and other specialized equipment. EMP weapons cause instant disruption to the target's power systems for a short time until it can reboot. Data spike missiles allow a direct connection to the target systems for hacking purposes. This likely requires a dedicated E-War crew member to pull off, but it allows you to shut down specific systems probably for longer periods of time. Distortion weapons, such as the Joker distortion cannon, affect the power flow to all components. A hit will temporarily reduce a power plant's maximum output, and multiple hits can actually completely overload the system. Now, this of course isn't the way the Joker works right now. Currently it only drains shields, but this is future tech that they should be implementing hopefully soon. Now, signal intercept allows the attacker to either passively track a target via signatures or actively interfere with target's communications, scanners, or radar. Special equipment includes ship-mounted antenna systems or special systems that allow storage, decryption, or encryption of transmissions. Now let's talk about defense. Currently in Arena Commander, there are several ways you can mitigate your ship's signatures. The first method is to simply turn unessential systems off. This lowers both your heat and EM signatures. If you lower either of these signatures so that they are below ambient levels or sensor thresholds, your ship will effectively become invisible to that class of scanner. You can also lower the output of your ship's power plant to reduce EM signature, or put your ship into decouple mode to reduce the amount of heat generated by thrusters. In the future, if your ship has retractable wings or turrets, you'll be able to retract them to reduce your radar cross-section. There are also several defensive systems that you'll be able to add to your ship in the future to further reduce your chances of being detected. Some examples of defensive systems are low emission components. These components, of course, sacrifice either performance or efficiency for lower signal emissions. Another example is found on the Hornet Ghost. It has special scan shielding armor that lowers its signature when it's actively scanned. This armor will, of course, be available to other ships in the future and can also be applied to cargo holds or containers to hide their contents, at the cost, of course, of a reduced cargo capacity. Another option is the use of decoy missiles. These missiles broadcast signatures that'll mimic those of a specific ship, usually the owner's ship. Of course, they cannot spoof the cross-section, as it's physically impossible. The most common countermeasure found right now are chaff and flare. Currently in Arena Commander, flares are used to thwart EM and heat-seeking missiles, and chaff is used to obscure your ship's cross-section and also to some extent your EM signature. In the future, there'll be variants on both the chaff and the flares. For example, you'll be able to equip EM-based flares, or heat-based chaff, or even data-blocking chaff. The biggest difference between chaff and flares will be that the flares, of course, are single bright points that are designed to lure missiles away from your ship, while chaff is used to cover a larger area and actually obscure your ship from that type of scanner, or it can also be used to thwart missiles with multiple warheads, like the Rattler. There are a few things, of course, I didn't cover here, so make sure you read the article yourself. In the meantime, let's move on to the big news of the week. And that big news is, of course, the social module, which was released to live on Friday. During the week, CIG allowed select backers to participate in enclosed PTU sessions to load test the new network code running in the background. I actually got my invite on Wednesday, and I would have put out a video then and there, but I respected CIG's wishes and held off until, well, Friday was the day that they released it live, and this is my first chance to do a video after that. The initial PTU release was pretty stable, but there were a lot of issues with the patcher and a lot of holes in the map that allowed players to access areas that they really shouldn't have, such as, well, the most popular destination was the Constellation landing pad behind the job well. If you saw the Gamescom presentation, you pretty much know what this model entails. It's a planet-side location accessed from the elevator at the back of your hangar. It includes a new chat system and the first iteration of the Mobi-Glass augmented reality system. The AR system is available by pressing the F2 key. It allows you to scan certain items in stores and see the names of other backers that are walking around ArcCorp. It is still very basic, and the exploration mode is the only function currently available. The chat system is accessed via the F12 key, and it allows you to communicate with fellow backers in your instance. This includes not only the ArcCorp area, but Arena Commander as well. Now in Arena Commander, the old chat system is still in place, and it can be accessed using the / key, which is located beneath the backspace button on most keyboards. But as that system doesn't fade away over time, and there's no way to block it, it can lead to a cluttered HUD. Right now it's mostly useful to let other players in the instance know that F12 actually works. Now the chat also allows you to perform emotes, and there's several ways to do that. Well, there's only one way to do the emotes, but there's several ways to get a list of the emotes. One is to go ahead and type /help, that's the standard slash, the same as the question mark key. Or you can press L to bring up your little contacts list, which allows you to use your mouse, and you can press the little question mark button on the right side of the chat. There are several emotes. Some of them have different variants. You just type / in the emote, and if it has variants, a number 1 through, say, 6. So let's talk about ArcCorp. It's absolutely stunning. There are several locations available for you to explore, including the customs area where you first exit the elevator, Cubby Blast, which is a weapons store where you can check out some of the equipment we'll be using in Star Marine, the medical unit with medical supplies for you to browse, the job well, in which you'll obtain legal missions and you can even observe the constellation out on the landing pad being unloaded. Then you have the G-Loc bar with its dance floor, Astro Armada, a ship dealer with an M50 on its rotating platform, and finally Dumper's Depot, where you can sell off or purchase second-hand ship components, or you will be able to in the future. There are also numerous back alleys for you to explore. In the future, they'll be opening up some new areas, such as the second floor to the Astro Armada, the emergency room with the medical unit, the Million Mile High Club, and the clothing store, whose name eludes me at the moment. The social module release was accompanied by another in-depth post by Tony Zurovec entitled "Welcome to ArcCorp." In it, he outlines the current and future goals of the social module, as well as a sneak peek of the Nyx system. Tony Z always amazes me with the amount of detail he puts into his articles, and it's definitely worth a read. Well, Star Citizens, that's about all the time I have for today. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead and hit that like or subscribe button. If you have any questions or comments about this video or Star Citizen in general, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. I always make an effort to read and answer as many comments as I can. So, until next time, I'll leave you with this video of the Nyx system, and once again, this has been BuzZz Killer, and I'll see you guys in the verse.